Thank you for joining us at ICOTech. We're in ICO Hub presenting this. It'll be myself, John Donovan, the head of sales, and our CEO, Joel Markham, who will be taking you through the crux of things. Hopefully you're all in the right place and have signed up for the right webinar. It's the one that's on the slide in front of you, how Power BI within a PPM solution can help you visualize data more effectively. I think that was my attempt to go for the world record longest title of a webinar, but we hope it'll be very, very useful for you. Just to say before we kick off that bear with me, I think we might have some additional sound coming in. Just before we kick off, to say there is a Q&A function obviously in the chat. If you would like to put any questions into the chat, I will kind of moderate that, but also it's quite informal as well. So if you need to, just stick your hand up and we can interject, and Joel will be happy to answer any questions. So moving along in terms of the agenda, we will do a little bit of an introduction and background to ICOTech. I promise it'll be very, very swift, so to get to the important things, and then we'll move on to an overview of Power BI and its capabilities in terms of summary of the top uses, features, a demo of Power BI, and then in terms of how Power BI sits within our PPM solution, ICOPlan, and it's an important feature of ICOPlan, really underpinning the solution itself, which manages projects all in one place and reports on those projects with live data, a one source of truth. There will be opportunity for questions at the end, but as I say, if you do have questions at any point as you go through, please put them in the chat or put your hand up, and I can promise Joel loves questions, so the more questions, the better. So for me, before I hand over to Joel, just to talk you through ICOTech for those who haven't been with us before. If you have been with us, you know this journey very well. Joel, I will embarrass him, is the driving force behind this. First with the concept back in 2012, but really launching it in 2019. And we've been on quite a journey through that time, and a very successful journey. And again, that's tribute to Joel and the rest of the team here. Even during COVID and a pandemic, the company went from strength to strength, dealing with a lot of blue chip customers who I'll touch upon in a moment. A lot of achievements on the way. We're now based in a fantastic office here in Cardiff Bay, and in 2022 I'm pleased to say that we've even gone international and have our first international customer based in New Zealand. So we are going from strength to strength based on those key values that are also on that slide. What is ICOTech? Well, this sort of sums us up in a nutshell. We are PPM specialists. That's the background of Joel and many of the fantastic members of staff here. We're Microsoft Gold partners. So we use that Microsoft technology, ultimately the Power Platform, to build applications to help organizations manage their projects. We're very much collaborative based. We're consultative in our approach, so we're not looking to sell a one-size-fits-all solution to a customer. We work with a customer in partnership to develop a PPM solution that is fit for purpose for your organization. And as I say, it's all based on the fact that we are project management specialists, and we have that Microsoft Gold partner status, and we use the Microsoft Power Platform to underpin everything that we do. And as I promised, just a reference, this is a little bit of a pat on our own backs, but just to show you we are legit. There are some of the organizations that we deal with, including the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. I think we're on our fourth cabinet member in the last 3 weeks, so we'll have to make new introductions to them. Oxfordshire County Council is one of the number of local authorities we deal with, and if you're like me and sipping a cup of tea at the moment, it might be Yorkshire Tea. We work with Betty's and Taylor's group, who those who produce that magical cup of tea. ACAS as well is a big organization for us. So without further ado, I should hand it over to the man himself. He's there popping up on my screen now. So Joel, I've done my bit. I will hand this over to you.
Over to me, thanks, mate. Cool. So just a bit of an intro about me. So my name's John Markham, as John says 4 times already. Founder of Architect Services. I don't pay him to say that, I promise. He just goes on about it all the time. But yeah, so my background is it started off in Welsh Water, Joking Welsh Water as project support officer. Did a short stint in Lloyds Bank as a project manager, and then ended up in Babcock International Group as the head of projects and programs. It started 5 odd years there, but went through a series of different roles. I guess the point being that my whole career has been about delivering projects and portfolios of technology and business change. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Just going to do some intro slides. Look at that teamwork. Thanks, John. Just wanted to set the scene really on the Power Platform before we dive into this. The Power Platform is effectively within the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. And whilst some of the components are based on Azure and Dynamics, it's effectively a low-code platform that allows us to build applications. You can build the applications yourself as what they call citizen developers, through to pro developers that we have here in Architect that would do more complex applications and solutions using one of these 4 product sets. And we're talking about Power BI today. Whoa, too fast. Go back, go back. Go back, John. So we're talking about Power BI today, which is on the left-hand side. But there are Power Apps. There's Power Automate that used to be called Flow. So if anybody remembers kind of Flow used to be the tool, they renamed that the Power Automate. And Power Virtual Agents is also there as well, which is a chatbot service. So that's really exciting. If you're wanted to ask questions of a user base and get some answers and automate that using a simple form of AI, then that's a good solution as well. There's another product in here which kind of sits within the Power App space, which I'd invite you to go and have a look at online. It's called Power Pages. It's the latest and greatest of Power Apps, but it allows you to build website-looking forms and workflows in something called Power Pages. But today we're just going to focus predominantly on Power BI and Power Apps. There we go. Thanks, John. We should really get this tag team. I should be able to take control. But anyways, so Power BI. So what is it? To I guess to see the value of your data, to realize that and have all your data in one place is really, really important and really, really useful. Data is the new currency. It's one of the hot topics, the buzzwords. I guess over the last 5 years, transformation has been this big word. We're all going through digital transformation as this topic. I reckon probably in a couple of years' time that'll die down and it'll be data. Data is key for us as a movement in technology and business anyway. So Power BI, having everything in one place, being able to plan based on insights, having the ability to do analysis on the fly, and to visualize that in a consistent way to a group of people to bring out that intelligence from that data is really the point of Power BI. And hopefully you all know and love the product as you see it today. Next slide, thank you. So, but in the Power BI space for project portfolio management, these are some of the existing content packs you can get online. So you can go to the App Source or GitHub, and you can download the Power BI content pack for Project Online or Project for the Web. And these are some of the screenshots from the existing kind of content pack. You can go, it's free, you just download it, you can play with it. But effectively what we're doing here is visualizing the data in a project basis so you can make informed decisions. You can based on facts, and it's real-time data, one click of the button, and it's a single version of the truth in the project sense. And having all that information readily available to you is pretty useful and cool in our view. There's a couple of different versions of Power BI just to kind of set the scene. There's the Power BI Report Builder, and then there's the cloud service, the software as a service, which is the Power BI Pro in the cloud. You can also get Power BI on your mobile phone as well. So if you're like me, you like to get on your phone constantly, then I've got Power BI on my phone, and you can render the Power BI reports, resize them to fit on your phone, so you can get all the same information available in your hand at any touch of the button as well. When you've got a Power BI workspace or a Power BI report or dashboard, and you want to produce that or send that or share it with a group of users, there's a way in which you could do that by creating an app, and that app is basically like a dumbed down container, almost a read-only view of your Power BI report, and that's called a Power BI app, and I'll show you that in a minute. Confusingly, there are also apps you can download for Power BI from the app source, right? So that they'll make it that easy for us to talk about these things, but they are pre-configured apps that you could download, and Project for the Web and Project Online both have their own existing app in the Power BI kind of apps source. And there's lots of other things that you can do in there as well. I'll show you that in the demo. This is it's kind of creating your play zone, I guess. To create a workspace is to create a location where you can create your reports and your dashboards, and you can bring in your data and create your data sets. There will be different workspaces for different teams in the organization. So you might have a HR workspace. You could even have project workspaces if you wanted to, or a team workspace. So maybe, onboarding in part of the HR would have their own workspace. Performance management would have their own workspace, or IT would have their own workspace. It kind of gets a bit crazy in terms of the number of workspaces that organizations tend to have. They tend to have many more than they think they have, but this is where you really need to start if you're going to go and use Power BI to build your reports, is create your own workspace, and then start bringing in your data sets, give your workspace a name, confirm who you're going to share that workspace with, and then you can start to bring in your data, start building your data sets and your tables and your reports and so on and so forth. Cool. So now on to the demo. So this is in our IcoPlan dev workspace, and effectively you can see here these are the workspaces we've got across this environment. We've got some random ones here, then we've got some kind of random things we've been playing with over the last few years. And in a workspace, you have the ability to create your reports. This is a report; it's not a dashboard in Power BI language, although some people would call this a dashboard. And a dashboard is almost a combination of different reports in one visual. I won't go into too much detail because we could be here for ages, but the point being is that you have the ability to create reports, which these are the kind of tabular reports, and then you can also create workbooks, but effectively you're using data sets or data flows to bring that data together to visualize and build your reports, right? I'm not going to go into too much detail about how you build these reports today. There's plenty of other videos on our YouTube channel if you want to go and subscribe to us on YouTube. Yeah, proud to say we've got more than 500 subscribers now in a very short space of time. So lots of people are watching our content, which is it kind of makes me think where they are. They must be bored of listening to my voice. But hey ho, so there's lots of stuff online, especially about how to build these Power BI reports if you wanted to crack on and do that yourself. But in the context of project portfolio management, we wanted to show you this report set that we've created. It's not perfect, it's not finished, it's not like polished. As with everything at Architect, we kind of do what we can to articulate and convey what it could be used for, what it should be used for. Then our customers engage with us and kind of take what we've built as a concept and rip it to shreds and say, well, that doesn't make sense for me. I want this pie chart instead of a bar chart, and I want these colors instead of those colors. So it's just I guess a scene setting. It's not a finished article. This is just something we start with. Also, all of our other project portfolio management webinars have talked about IcoPlan, which is what we call the input side. So this is taking the output of a PPM solution called IcoPlan, whereas most of our other content that we share online is all about the input side. And we never really get to show you Power BI. By the time the Joel's stopped waffling for an hour, we've run out of time, everybody's bored, and we never show this Power BI data set. So we thought for once we'll talk about Power BI first and go through this and just show you how we have visualized portfolio management data using Power BI. All right. So effectively, what I'm going to do is take you through these tabs through this system, this report that we start with, and just articulate how we're using this information and how our customers will develop this to use in their kind of organizations. What I'm going to do first is going into full screen mode. I just think it looks a bit better. So full screen mode here. So you can see you can move these navigation bars in, and you can move them out as well. But I'm just going to go for portfolios for now. So So this is effectively you're in a portfolio board once a quarter, once a month, and you're reviewing the status of your portfolios. All right. So in this example, we've got 5 portfolios across the system. We know 4 of them are active and 1 of them's inactive. So I'm only showing here the active portfolios across the organization. I'm not showing any other portfolios. You can filter here by the portfolio sponsor. So if you wanted to filter them by Joel, because he's the portfolio sponsor, you're clicking on here and it's dynamically updating this portfolio data set. Of course, this is quite light touch, and again, I just reference that, and sorry if I say it too many times over the next kind of 10 to 15 minutes, but this is a light touch of a portfolio report. Obviously, other attributes and other facts and figures could be displayed on this, such as your cost of your portfolio, your overall portfolio RAG, maybe some of the sub-RAGs that relate to your portfolio, like your risks or your issues or your resources, and so on and so forth. But for now, for us, it's just the start of a 10. So I'm going to go back and show all my 4 active portfolios. I'm not showing my 1 inactive because it's gone. I don't need to talk about it at the portfolio board. But also, I'm going to go and look at, say, Kieran is the portfolio manager in this case. For the research and development portfolio, Kieran is the portfolio manager, and it just kind of summarizes or filters that report to show all the portfolios that are managed by Kieran. All right. Here you've got your bar charts and your charts here, and you're effectively being able to click on these and still filter again by the owner of the portfolio. So in this example, you've got a portfolio manager, you've got an owner and a sponsor. Of course, in some, say, public sector organizations, you might have the SRO, you might have executive sponsor, portfolio manager, and so on and so forth. So those are all interchangeable as per the customer's request. All right, so that's the top of the portfolio management tree. Everything in project portfolio management really needs to link to a portfolio. And when an organization's got more than 1 portfolio, you're able to see that here in one place. Just to go to the right here, which is effectively going down the list, so I can always also scroll down this list, or I click that little right button there, and it takes me to the next dashboard. Sorry, the next report in the deck. All right. So effectively here we've got our program. So we're 1 level down from our portfolios, and we're saying, okay, these are the 4 programs we've got in this portfolio. Of course, in reality, you probably have more like, I guess, 4 or 5 programs per portfolio. And actually, in reality, most of our customers like to add projects in at this level as well, because not all projects will link to a program. Sometimes you'll have a portfolio, the IT transformation portfolio, you'll have 2 programs within it, and you might have 6 or 7 standalone projects as well. So that's some of the modifications we make to this report when we give it to our customers, for example, right? Or you might want to make to it should you want it. So there's 4 programs. None of them are in a proposed state because we're just cracking on. We've got no closed programs in this example and nothing on hold. We're all active at the moment. We're all going through this kind of transformation portfolio at the moment. You could filter it by portfolio if you wanted to. Again, it makes more sense if you've got more than 1 program per portfolio. And you could filter it by state, although we know all these are active at the moment. If you had ones in different states, then you'd have more values appear here. The sponsors, so we're going to look at Toby's programs that he's sponsoring. We can see that Toby's sponsoring 2 programs here, and both of them are amber, and this is the narrative from the program status report in the PPM solution ICOplan that's driving these. So just to give some context, when I was running programs and portfolios across Babcock, we would have these reports at program level and program board and portfolio board. They would be done in PowerPoint, right? And in PowerPoint, the program manager would be taking, I guess, their project plan in MSP desktop. They'd be taking their risk log. They'd be taking all these artifacts they're using to manage this program, and they would be copying and pasting that into a PowerPoint slide deck. And we'd be PDF in a slide deck. We'd be sending it out to the CEO every month, and then we'd be going through that in a half-an-hour portfolio and program board. But as soon as that kind of deck had gone out on the Monday or the second Monday of the month, and the third Monday of the month had the portfolio board, that data was out of date. It was obsolete. I was giving an update to the CEO from data that's actually real, say 2 weeks ago. The point being with this is it's live data. It's refreshed every kind of hour or on request, and it allows you to go to the portfolio board, the program board, or the project board with the real single source of the truth. And that's the vision here. And that's, I'm proud to say, a lot of our customers are now doing that with Power BI using a portfolio management solution underneath it. All right. So that's the kind of the scene of how you would be using this. You can see at the moment we're kind of in an amber state across all the programs. One of my programs is green, the rest are amber for whatever reason. You could, if you want to show the underlying RAG. So you've got your primary RAG here, which is the overall health of the program. A bit later on, if we get time to go into ICOplan, I can show you that a status report for a program has 4 RAGs. It has the overall, it has the cost, the quality, and the time. So if you want to, you could bring those RAGs out into this report as well. And that would give you a more informed view quickly as to why you're amber here. Is it because of cost, or is it because of timescales, or maybe quality, or any other RAG that you capture and measure across your programs? Again, the same features are available. I'm the program manager of these 2 programs, which is great. One of them's green, one of them's amber. Let's go to Chris's program. Here we go. This is Chris's program. Toby's the sponsor. It's active. We know that all these charts will update dynamically based on me filtering that slide or that report by that pie chart. All right. You can imagine now, I guess, if you're not using a portfolio management solution, you're in Excel. All this data is in Excel, maybe SharePoint, or another solution, and you're copying and pasting that information into a PowerPoint report, and you're not able to have that dynamic conversation in the boardroom at the program board level about these programs or portfolios of change. So yeah, that's another example of how we do programs. Project requests. So these are project requests that come in through the PPM solution, and they effectively are things we should do next. All right. I found one in here the other day saying move the CRM to Salesforce, which I tried to delete quickly, which was quite comical. One of the developers thought they were funny and put that in here, but definitely don't move to Salesforce. Keep on Dynamics CRM. But this is showing us at an executive level, a board level. I've got 7 project requests. 322k of forecast cost potentially, and miraculously we've got 367k of benefit across to all of these requests. All right. In this system, then the users are able to prioritize or give a priority score to the request by answering a series of questions. Does it reduce cost? Does it improve employee satisfaction, retention? Does it align to strategy? Yes, no, high, medium, and low, those type of models, which gives it a prioritization score. So I'm able to come in here now and say, well, okay, give me these by highest to lowest. So I can see that the flow project is actually the highest prioritization score. And it gives, it's got a forecast cost of £100,000 and a benefit of £50,000, but there's no funding available. But it's got quite a high or strong level of risk as well, so it needs to be controlled appropriately. But effectively, if you're doing, this is the most simplest form of portfolio prioritization, effectively saying, well, these are kind of the 3 projects we should look to go and deliver next based on the answers to the questions that the users have created or submitted in their project request process. So you can see here, I just clicked on that down arrow if you're new to Power BI, and you can just change the filter up and down then from ascending or descending. All right. I think you can even do it for the state as well. But again, all of our customers will take this and say, thanks guys, this looks good, but I want a different chart over here. I want to bring in a RAG status. I want to bring in the department, for example, of where this request has come from. And actually funding available is irrelevant, because if there's no funding available, we wouldn't be here. So it's about utilizing our fund effectively. So that's just to reiterate that this is a start of a 10. Again, you can use these charts up here to say, okay, give me all the moderate ones, the request by priority, because it categorizes these. It says if you're within a range of score, numerical score, then it's critical, moderate, or low, and so on and so forth. All right. Sponsor, you can say, well, give me all the requests that are sponsored by Chris, because he wants loads of things done, versus anybody else in the team. All right. And maybe the owner of the request as well, or even who it was submitted by. We don't actually have the submitted by person in this table. See how there's no kind of submitted or requested by person here, but actually I'm able to filter by the ones that were requested by Megan, because in the background it knows that that ticket was created by Megan. All right. So the next report we've got is projects. So here we go. Project dashboard. Again, in my experience in Babcock and Lloyd's in dual chemical wash water, well, start my journey in Babcock anyway. It was Excel. We were using Excel with all our projects, the stages, the project manager, the costs. We were putting it into Excel, and then we were taking that, putting it into a Word document or a PDF or the PowerPoint and PDFing it and sharing it with a group of users and stakeholders and reviewing that content. This eradicates the need for that. This is actually getting everything in one place, one single source of the truth, and you just see all the projects across the portfolio and some key attributes to this. You'll notice actually one of the things that we're not showing in this table at the bottom is the RAG status, but in this example we've got it here. So give me all the projects that are green, give me all the projects that are amber, and all the projects that are red. If I go back to the amber one, you can see here that I've got one, Shantine's got one, and Matt's got one that are amber, and these are the stages that they're in the project life cycle. So the start, end, or whatever kind of project life cycle you've got in your organization. For me, I'd like to see the RAG status of the project here. Even more, I'd like to see the sub-RAGs that relate to this project, and that's kind of what we do with most of the customers that use this going forward. But effectively, we're getting a we're getting a real-time version of the reports of the portfolio in one central location. All right. And to be fair, I've used this kind of this technology firsthand in Companies House. Where Companies House we were looking at all the projects across the portfolio. I think it was 60 odd projects across the portfolio, and we're standing up towards the end of that activity engagement with Companies House. We're standing up at the end of the portfolio board. This is on screen, not this exact version, but obviously a more comprehensive version because we developed something more detailed specific for them at that point. But actually talking about Project Vulcan, where are we? CRM replacement Salesforce. Oh, there it is. It's not refreshed off this one, but it's still there. Active Directory refresh. We're talking about these projects. PM's giving an update. We're having some conversations around it, and then towards the end of the session, we're jumping straight into the red projects evaluations. Okay, Shantine, what is it you need from us at a board level to help you get that from red to green? Do we need to get some additional resource? Do we need to help you confirm the scope? What is it that you need us to do to help you get there? Then we're using this live on the screen to do that. Have those conversations. Finances, this is a bit of a messy one. This is the worst one for me in this pack. We will change it at one point in time, but it's just to show you that you can bring in your financial forecast, your committed spend, and you can start to create some ugly looking slides if you really want to about the spend in this portfolio. But effectively, we've got 9 projects here. We've got £560,000 worth of total spend, and we've got committed spend, remaining forecast, and budget. Every single one of our customers does financial planning forecasting differently. So this one probably hasn't been updated in the last couple of months because every customer will just do things differently in terms of what is spend. Is it resource? Is it people? Is it external resources only? Real hard cash in terms of purchasing products and services from third parties. It just really depends on what organization you're working for and how closely you want to manage budgets. But this just shows you can look at the portfolio performance of the financial situation of the projects should you wish. Risks, we all have risks. So this is a view of all the risks across the portfolio. So you can look at them by proximity, the due date proximity. So ones that are due today to be resolved, one that's due to the next 30 days, or actually the risks that are, proximity is 31 to 60 days as well. So you can see these are the risks that have been highlighted across the portfolio. This was at program level. You can see it's at the program level, and these at project level. All right, so you can see how actually I know I need to go and address the red risks. These are the 2 red risks across the portfolio that I really need to go and address. There's that bloody replacement to Salesforce, but lack of funding is the risk. Great, can the project move on, find a better solution? But yeah, so this is how you could use this portfolio report of all the risks that are active across the portfolio. to go and understand the health of these and to make decisions at a portfolio level of how you can go and make or mitigate or support these projects and programs to the next, getting back to green, I guess. So these are the amber risks. So these are 6 risks that are amber based on a simple 5x5 model. I should have explained that at the start, but 1 being low, 5 being high, impact versus likelihood. Again, some customers like to do pre-mitigation, post-mitigation, all those kind of complex things could be added in the future, and so on and so forth. So, you know, you can do it at this level. And then you get a sponsor of a project saying, actually, I really want to go and look at all the risks that are related to or assigned to Toby, because Toby's going on a sabbatical for the next 3 months because he's going off to Timbuktu to do some traveling or whatever. So I need to go and understand what risks are assigned to him so I can transfer them over to me. And here we could just click to assign to, and I've got 3 projects that are assigned to Toby as a senior leader in the organization that need to be mitigated or resolved going forward. All right, so that's just how we kind of or our customers use this technology. Issues again. Okay, so we've got lots of issues here. We've got a few that aren't baseline, so I would jump into here and go, why don't these have a RAG status assigned to them? Probably because they haven't been filled out correctly, and they're waiting to be reviewed at a process underneath this reporting level. But here I've got these 3 red issues I need to go and solve. And that's the one I'm going to talk through in the portfolio board to be, I guess, to be discussed and mitigated. You can do some level of escalation as well, so we can bring some of these up and say escalate these. But yeah, that's kind of future stuff if you're early on in the journey of portfolio management. Tasks. So this is kind of real detail stuff now, but and this is based off the project for the web content pack. So if you go onto the Microsoft or go onto Google or Bing and just search for project for the web Power BI content pack, you can download that pack. It'll look very similar to what you've seen today, but it obviously this is more applicable to what we do and what we see from our customer base. But this is all the tasks across the portfolio. You can see that here, because this is a demo environment we haven't updated in a long time. There's lots and lots and lots of overdue tasks. So that's normally more than 2 weeks late. And there's some tasks here that in the future and some tasks that are on track as well. So you can start to do some task analysis if you really want to do that at a program portfolio level of reporting. I never did. I think task level is too detailed in my opinion. It's just, you know, trust the project managers to get on with it and give the right RAG statuses and have the conversation at a portfolio level. But if you have got a portfolio of 5 projects, then I could probably see why reviewing the tasks across the portfolio would be a good thing. All this comes directly from the PPM solution in the Power Platform, which is Plan. Milestones, we don't use this. This hasn't really been used, but I'll just whistle kind of jump over it quickly. But you can bring out your milestones if you want to, either 0-day milestones in your project, or you can have separate milestones in the PPM solution as well. Up to you. Actions. Again, some of our customers want to use this. Some of them use assumptions rather than actions, and we change the language in here to say these are the list of assumptions that are across the portfolio rather than actions. But these are the actions that are due, or the target date is in the next 31 to 60 days. So I've got to go mitigate risk X, and then we've got some ones that have no data entered. So, you know, hit kind of challenge back to the portfolio manager. Need to make sure this data is up to date so we can start managing this portfolio accurately and effectively. And these ones that are overdue, we need to go and solve some license issues and license conditions for Project Vulcan as well. And so on and so forth. So, you know, we can look at the action owner. Joel's off sick this week. We know he's not going to be in the business. So I've got to go and filter these by Joel. And I can see these 3 actions need to be resolved or handed over to somebody somewhere else in the business. Decisions, you know, kind of getting to the end of the I guess the presentation or demo now, but decisions is self-explanatory. If you really wanted to show all the decisions across the portfolio in one place, I'm not sure I ever did, to be honest. At a portfolio level, it was more just looking at the health of the portfolio, the health of the risks and issues across the projects. But you can see it here, and changes. I could see why, you know, some of our customers want to track their RFC requests for changes. In this example, we've got 3 requests for changes. The decisions are being made, and you can start to do some level of proximity reporting as well. What's the change by type? So you want to see there's one change here for scope, and there's not been any other data in this example. And you can start categorizing. And this is another chart here, these squares. Rather than a chart or a bar chart or a pie chart, you're actually using this. I'm not sure the technical term, but it's a set of squares that will automatically update based on the values that are in there, which is pretty cool. So lessons, we love lessons, but it's kind of when the end of the portfolio maturity curve, I guess, looking at putting all the lessons learned or identified in the projects and being able to list them out across the organization. So, just seeing these lessons in one place and being able to review them at a portfolio level helps to make sure that obviously you're improving your processes going forward. And benefits here, we're talking about adding benefits into the system where you can do your profile value versus your assessed value, whether it's cashable, non-cashable, and you can start to create some of these reports here where you're showing the benefit of the portfolio over time as well. So this is some of the kind of content you can get out if you start adding in your lessons and your benefits into your PPM solution. Assumptions. So I talked to you about assumptions. Some of our customers will replace actions with assumptions in their RAID log. But here we've got all the assumptions that are made across the portfolio. We can see Toby's made 2 of them, and they're open at the moment. They haven't been confirmed, but the priority is medium. But there's some assumptions we just want to ratify here at a portfolio level to make sure there's nothing going on untoward across the organization. And then we've got a very high priority assumption as well. So we just want to check that one in the portfolio board to make sure that Project Vulcan has made this big assumption that funding will remain consistent, and we want to make sure that's still going to be maintained going forward. Then we come on to the project status report. So this is the status report of the projects. So in a view, so the latest status reports. And I said earlier about the RAG statuses or the sub RAGs. Well, here's the sub RAGs of this project here. Project Vulcan is green for quality, amber for time, and amber or green for risk. Now, these are all manual in the system at the moment, but as part of a wave 1, we tend to automate some of these RAGs. So we're saying, okay, well, you can't be green for overall if you're amber for quality and amber for time. Doesn't really make sense. So what's the logic here? Realistically, that project should automatically go to amber, in my opinion, based by portfolio management hat on, because you need to be amber overall, and so on and so forth. But we come up with those models with the customers as we go through. But again, just being able to filter by, give me all the projects that are green overall, or give me all the projects that the cost RAG is red, and here we go. I'm filtering that by here. So the evaluations project is red. It is red for cost and red overall, and so on and so forth. You can filter by the submitter, submitted to, the status, or the project itself. So another thing that I used to do, I remember this, I guess in my first ever job in Joking Wash Water, was creating a status report for a project. So being able to build a status report, be able to share that with the customer to say this is where the project is in its status, and being able to share that with a bunch of stakeholders. Unfortunately, this Project Vulcan hasn't worked. I did do some work on this last night to make this work, so apologies for that. But it should have some narrative in here of the. I'll tell you why. I'm doing it wrong. Here we go. That's why user error. There's always user error. Andy, we're always learning. So so that's me learning to make sure I select the right dates. But Project Vulcan is example project, and I'm using Power BI to see the status of that project at any point in time. The status was created on the 17th or the 7th of the 9th, and with some narrative in here around why the project is overall green, but overall amber for time RAG as well. And I'm just bringing through some of our risks and issues data. It's a total example because, as I said, we would look to see your status report that you're using already and try and fit that into this so it looks familiar for you if you were to use this type of technology in the future. So, but yeah, it shows you kind of your statuses, your overall kind of static information, like who the sponsor is, some of the start and end dates, but all that is coming from the PPM solution ICOplan that's in the background. And then we get onto some funky cool stuff. So this is the stuff that we just like to show randomly, just to show you the power of this when you get all the data in the system. Bear in mind, there's not loads of data in the system, which is why this key influences doesn't work. But you can create your segments and key influences as to, I guess, budget variance as an example. You could do other influences like time variance. So when you start adding data into the system, it can start to do some trend analysis. And here we've set up some questions that are predefined. So what's the number of, I guess, projects by time health? So you can click that there, and it should, he says, there we go, it loads. It shows you the projects, and it says, okay, so there's 3 portfolios, so the number of portfolios by time health. 3 of the portfolios are green, and 1 of them's amber. All right, so these are questions that have been asked by people over in the Power BI report, and then you can promote them to live. So they're not totally useful because there's not so much data. But you can imagine if you've got 300 projects in here. So what is the number of portfolios by portfolio owner? So I'm hoping to see now. Here we go. So I've got Toby's got 1, Shantine's got 1, and I've got 3. Typical. Now I'm going to try this on the fly, right? But bear with me. So you can actually start writing them in, and this is where the AI query gets excited. Well, I get excited by this, but so what actions are open, right? So I'm going to see what actions are open. So here are the ones that come through. So I can start to see the actions that are open. I mean, obviously we could change this to show different attributes. So you can condense this rather ugly table if you want to, or you can actually have this pane a bit wider. But you're able to ask the system questions, and it will bring that through. So what portfolios, which projects are owned by who was testing my skills here? Joel. There we go, Joel. And it is requested by, owned by Joel. So it's actually given me some other, just press and show more here. So I'm able to write the query in English ish and have these I guess these values come through. All right, so I want to see the benefit owner, all the projects that I'm the benefit owner, typically none, but you get the point where you can start building these queries, I guess, and have this information on the fly rather than building specific reports that might be kind of hard to build out the box. So tasks are going to be quite good because we've got hundreds of tasks in the system. So which tasks are assigned? Can we use assigned to Joel? Yeah, and then here we go. We've got, it's calling me the benefit owner, I think, for some reason, but you can see the query running in the background here. So these are all the tasks in the system, yeah, and you can start to bring these out. Right, so you can start to vote as well on this. Is it useful? Is it not useful? One of the customers we work with has really gone crazy with that, and it's really useful because you can start to build queries on the fly without having to build a Power BI report every time. I'm conscious of time, and I want to give Jonathan his chance to come into the limelight. But I just want to and just close this off. But I just want to show you, I guess, some of the where that data comes from, because it is, I guess, pertinent to know that this is the PPM solution that we have, which is IcoPlan built in the Power Platform. And I'm just a 30-second summary of all. So it brings it to life. So Power BI is pointing, it's taken, this is the input, Power BI is the output, and this has taken all the artifacts from this system here. So this is Project Vulcan, you recognize the name earlier. These are the status reports that we created, that I'm showing and visualizing. These are the tasks that are associated to Project Vulcan. And so on and so forth, all in Project for the Web and the Power Platform. So all these records are put into the system by the project portfolio community, and are using Power BI to visualize all that data into one single source of the truth.
Always for giving a fantastic presentation. I would just emphasize again, we have that webinar coming up in 2 weeks to demonstrate IcoPlan, and obviously Power BI sits within that. And then regarding IcoPlan, if you want any further information or you want any further information as a follow-up to this webinar, particularly on or specifically on Power BI, we are here. We are a Microsoft Gold to partner, it's kind of within our remit or within our conditions that we knowledge share and we help as much as we possibly can. So please don't hesitate to reach out if we can give you some information. And the only other little bit of housekeeping I would ask, suggest, request, we like to get some feedback on how we can improve these webinars. We'd like to knowledge share, as I say, but we'd like to make them relevant to you and always improve them. So if you get a call in the next couple of days from one of our team, it's just really to discuss whether you got what you were hoping for out of the webinar, and if you have any constructive feedback for us as to how we could make them more applicable in the future. But otherwise, if those are all the questions done, thank you again for attending. Join us on our webinar. We do hold one every fortnight, so keep an eye on what our topics are and please jump on. But thank you for attending today. Thank you to Joel for presenting. Have a great evening, everybody. And if we can help at all, please just reach out to us.
Cheers, guys. Thanks, John. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.